Y'all ever seen the movie The Substance? Great movie for a first date. Really sets the tone of the relationship. Descenders. Interesting topic as of late, due in part to Citlali calling us a descender.
I can't just ignore what I saw. That's why I need the Traveler's power. I need the power of a descender.
Fate may be able to influence the timing, but that is all the Traveler can change.
Now, she ain't do it to our face like a real nigga, no. Instead, she said it in private to the Lord of the Night, Yehudabitch, who seemed somewhat familiar with the term, at least with regards to the extraordinary powers the Traveler, may have. But to Mes Ami, this is extremely odd because Citlali is from Natlan, an absolute isolationist society in which leaving the motherland has essentially become a taboo topic. So then, the question becomes, how did Citlali learn what a descender is? What being a descender entails? And more importantly, how does she know the Traveler is a descender? Well, to understand that, first we must discuss, where did the descender classification system come from? Because if you really think about it, the people shouldn't know, and by people I mean people of Teyvat's. There have only been 4 descenders in Teyvat's history, none of which I'm sure went around advertising they were a descender. Hell, the God of Wisdom has a fragmented idea of what a descender is, because they don't exist in the world's repository Irminsul. So, to uncover the origins of the word, let's look at a bunch of instances in which the word descender was dropped.
Something else I noticed was that according to these records, the Fatui have not classified your sibling as one of the descenders. I'm sure you must be curious about the information I received from the Fatui in return for my gnosis, right? A very important part of the intel was about this world's descenders. External beings, ones that don't belong to this world.
Of course. How could I forget? You should have the remains of the third descender on your person, yes?
Remains? I've never heard of any such thing, but I fear I have never heard of it described in the manner that you just did.
I've been training with my master, the Foul, ever since I was young, and I have never returned to the surface since. So most of the information I possess, I got from him.
And now, in written form, we have Renee's notes. Quote, "This too is my goal, for not all that comes from beyond may be as one that descends. That title belongs only to wills that can rival an entire world. That is what I seek. The way to become just such a will, one that can protect the world, sustain the world, destroy the world, and create the world." And from the book Khaenriah, which although not specifically using the word descender, pretty much just describes what a descender is. Quote, "In anticipation of the arrival at their kingdom of gods from beyond the so-called ocean, or rather the arrival of beings who could transcend the gods, they founded an organization, an orphanage to take care of such children. In latter days, the orphans of the kingdom and those who wandered in from the outside were accepted as well." So, anyone notice the common denominator amongst all these sources? It's Khaenriah. The Fatui were founded in parts and led by Pyro, a high-ranking Khaenrian royal mage. Citlali, Skirk's master, was once one of the 6 Khaenrian greats, on par with the captain of the Twilight Guards, Dainsleif himself. Did I get that saying right? Is it Twilight Sword, Twilight Guards, some fruity sound shit. Before turning to a life of crack and becoming one of the 5 great sinners. Renee, a Fontanian researcher, based much of his work around Khaenriah. And finally, Khaenriah is a Khaenrian book whose validity has been vouched for by Pyro himself. Now, Khaenriah, as a source for the word descender, and this greater understanding that these gods come from beyond, fits perfectly with our understanding of what that cracked nation was all about. They were founded sometime after the war with the Second Who Came, with one specific goal in mind. Quote, "I've heard of people who are building a new nation without gods. Perhaps they'll have the power to stand against this world." Now, why would they want to build a nation without gods? Well, to them, the answer was simple, and maybe twofold. Well, first, they witnessed the war with the Second Who Came, and maybe just sort of went, "Ugh, this is not the way forward." The second, and more importantly, they believed the gods, in this instance Celestia, were alien to the world of Teyvat. To support their theory, they went the same route as the Abyss Order, stealing the book before Sun and Moon. Quote, "It was those people from Khaenriah. They were the ones who stole that library book. I was assigned as one of their bodyguards, sure, but there's no way I would have been in cahoots with them. Now, in the end, they would fail with their heist, but they were on the right track, you gotta tip it." As thousands of years later, Enja would too try the same act. Quote, "Yes, that's precisely it. That's why I wanted to find this book. That way we, the Abyss Order, would have proof. Proof that the gods in Celestia came from beyond this world." Now, given the Abyss Order is literally just Khaenrians, I think it's a safe assumption to make that their goals would kinda carry over. Even then, I might still be going a bit rogue here. Now, the question most assuredly becomes, how did Khaenriah suspect the gods were foreign to this world? And to that, I have no idea. It's why it was on the 5 greatest unsolved mysteries list. My personal question would be, do they not think they don't also come from beyond? Where does this superiority stem from, or the ability to criticize, unless the Khaenrians are dragon people who worship this planet's old order? But that's nonsense. Anyway, back to Citlali. Who knew we were a descender and what that entails, despite having no known connection to Khaenriah and not being old enough to have even lived in that era? How? I've got 2 wildly speculative ideas. You know, one is when she did the voodoo on us, she just, like, read it. You know, the whole double, toil and trouble, fire, burn, and cauldron.
Wealth leads to unending conflicts between people. Yet you alone transcend the value of gold. Baleful thunder and wrathful waves bring terror to mortal hearts. Yet, again and again, you've braved them to find new worlds. O weary yet free soul, even the most verdant leaf in the forest will pray for your happiness and safe passage. Those are all the things that I could see in you. You've experienced far more than even most mortals could dream of.
The other is, look, this bitch is some once-in-a-generation high voodoo priestess who was able to ascertain the pyro archon's fates and create devices to communicate with the wives. I'm sure she has some voodoo fuckery in her fucking bag that lets her just, you know, a descender has approached these lands. You know, just research that allowed her to come by this information. I mean, let's not forget, Mavuika also used the word descender.
The ancient battle between the Descender and the dragons destroyed the corner of the world, allowing the Abyss to invade.
And I mean, yeah, she's got knowledge thanks to the sacred flame, but what say you to the idea that Citlali has her own sacred flame? And it's the fact that she's a once-in-a-generation voodoo priestess! I mean, everyone reveres her for being this wise old sage. It just, I don't know, it just didn't strike me as odd that she knew. I don't know. Especially since Natlan is only in this mess, you know, thanks to a descender. Like, for instance, fucking Mualani gave us more info on the Abyss than all the other Archons combined, man! But, I don't know, I think it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't think it's a deep conspiracy that Citlali knows. It just comes with the territory of being from Natlan and being a genius.